Chapter 13, In Memoriam. At the Drakovian Opera House, you reel from the discovery that a second victim has been murdered. You take your gaze away from Sebastian's empty eyes and look to Tristan. He has one hand pressed to his mouth, his eyes shining with unspilled tears. Bess, he's... You stand, wrapping Tristan in your arms and turning him away from Sebastian's body. He leans into you, his fingers gripping you through your clothes. I'm sorry, Tristan. How did we get it so wrong? We could have helped him, we could have... The sound of fast approaching footsteps echo in the corridor. You have just enough time to wipe away Tristan's tears before you release him. The curtain to the box whips aside and Lydea steps through, her eyes fall on Sebastian, and she nearly stumbles. Gods! She catches herself quickly, straightening to her full height as Coletta steps carefully into the crime scene. Oh no. As Lydea studies the bloody corpse of her little brother, her face sets into a grimly neutral mask. When did you lose sight of him? Only 5 minutes ago, I swear. Well, you're in trouble. Lydea, where have you been? Where I said I'd be. Yeah, just not returning any calls. Why didn't you contact Colette? Why didn't you respond to her texts? Because I was busy doing my job. She cocks her head at you, one hand resting on the hilt of her sword. Now, I'm gonna ask you to clear the scene. Once. You can't kick us out. This is murders connected to my investigation. A murdered prince changes things, New York. This is Royal Guard business of the topmost clearance. I won't hesitate to arrest any glorified tourist who tries to interfere. Tristan puts a hand on your shoulder, steering you out of the private box before you can answer. Understood, Lydea. But as your crown prince, I'll be waiting for your report. Lydea nods once, a captain responding to the order of her superior. Luke paces the hall beyond the curtain. Ruby pulls Tristan into a hug as soon as she sees him. Thank God you're okay. We couldn't get through the guard. Sebastian's dead. What do we know? Not much. But it looks like Sebastian... Well, no shit, he's dead. It doesn't matter. When Tristan and I spoke to him earlier, he noticed that Colette was tailing him, or he implied he noticed. Why would he want to get rid of or away from Colette? I don't know, but he had his throat cut for his trouble. Did it look more like a knife slash or a garrote cut? Garrote. Yeah, well, kinda. I couldn't tell at a glance, it's your area. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'm trying to recall. Colette and Lydea are talking urgently, blocking your view of the body. Colette nods once and marches past you, heading back downstairs. It sure is. She clears her throat and taps at the doorframe. Excuse me, Captain, but you're gonna want to get a forensic analysis in there ASAP. We're in the process of contacting someone. Of course. The best time to examine a body is an hour after the blood dries and vital evidence has a chance to be corrupted. Lydea purses her lips, glancing between Ruby and you. Do you have any equipment with you? Ruby hefts her giant, fashionable purse and pulls a briefcase of forensic equipment, opening it for Lydia's approval. Yep, looks like she is always ready. Give me a little credit? Ruby shoots you a triumphant look as Lydea relents and welcomes her inside, pointedly closing the curtain behind them. What does this mean for the investigation? Who has motive to kill Sebastian? The 3 key figures involved in the act of the hair equity are dead. It can't be a coincidence. Then we must assume whoever the killer is, they're trying to stop the act from passing. Tristan looks back to the private box. You hear the confident tones of Lydia's voice through the curtain, though her words are indecipherable. And the sibling who would benefit most from the act not passing just so happens to be a highly trained killer. The timing of Lydia's arrival was awfully convenient. But we crossed her off the suspect list weeks ago. She has a confirmed alibi for Naja's time of death. Lydia was unreachable all night. We don't know when she arrived at the Opera House. She could have gotten there an hour ago and waited to get Sebastian alone. If she asked him to meet her alone, he wouldn't hesitate. He trusted her. But why? Why now? Hey, why here? Chambers will vote on the Act for Hair Equity in the next week. But the numbers are in favor of not passing, and Lydia knows it. She read Sebastian's ledger. Maybe she was ensuring those numbers stayed unequal. Either way, we'll need to keep an eye on her. Lydia's the most dangerous of my siblings by far, and if she's decided to kill off her competition... The curtain to the private box cracks open. Luby peers into the corridor and then slips through. Psst, Chloe! Catch a glimpse of Lydia speaking in her radio in an urgent Drakovian before the curtain falls back in place. Did you find the murder weapon? There was no weapon left at the scene, but Sebastian was killed by a single deep cut to the throat, so not a garrote. It severed his carotid artery, hence all the gushing. Death would have been very quick. She shuffles through a stack of Polaroid photos as she speaks, showing you Sebastian's neck wound from every angle. Best guess on what could have done it? A garrote. The wound was thin, wide, clean. Deep implies even pressure on both sides of the neck. What is a garrote? God damn it. Just like Nadja. You think back to the moment you discovered her body, the one key difference. Except there were stab wounds on Nadja. Sebastian had none. That means... This is why I'm hmming, because let's just say someone baited Sebastian there. The other person, the accomplice, gets behind Sebastian while his guard is dropped, wraps the garrote around his neck. That's what I'm thinking. There could be two killers. Either way, this feels personal. Yes, to garrote someone, you need to hold them against you as they die. You're not looking into their eyes, but it's still intimate. Yes, but at least the person who's baited him is watching him die. Normally, multiple stab wounds indicate a sense of passion, but Nadja's were inflicted post-mortem, and they were shallow. But the wound on her neck was deep, identical to Sebastian's. So we're looking for a single killer with expertise in assassination weapons. That's my guess. There's one other thing about Sebastian's body. Ruby catches herself as Lydia steps out of the private box, tucking her radio back onto her belt. Webster, do I need to remind you that you're under contract with the Drakovian Royal Guard in this matter? You report to me and only me. Ruby keeps a poker face, glancing at you for guidance. Distract Lydia. This is a bit weird. You know, this is also a way we could have entrapped Lydia, because we would have waited for Lydia's report to Tristan, and then we would have gave that report to Ruby to see if there was any differentiation. That's how you literally entrap Lydia. But I digress. You glance at Tristan, giving him the subtlest of nods. He understands you easily. I'll distract Lydia, use the time wisely. Tristan steels himself and steps through the curtains, avoiding looking at Sebastian's prone corpse. Captain, I need a report. I don't have a report for you yet. Tough, Littles. I'm the Crown Prince, and I will very soon be your king. Tell me what you know right now in detail. Oh boy. You wishing for Ruby to follow you down the corridor. We can talk backstage. Whatever you are going to tell me fast. Okay, well, firstly, the bulk of the blood spatter was outside the box, not in. You mean... Sebastian was caught off guard? It's possible. He was standing at the box's balcony when he was attacked, so either he came in here to get some air and a moment alone, or he met with someone he trusted and he turned his back on them without fear. Or there's two of them. Exactly. There are defensive wounds on a few of his fingertips, which imply that he tried to fight back. But only after his neck had been cut, since they're shallow. He was already bleeding out, losing strength. How did Sebastian get from standing at the balcony to sitting with his back to it? Shouldn't he have slumped forward over the railing? Also, wouldn't there be blood over the railing if he was gushing? If he'd been left alone, yes, he wouldn't have had time or strength to sit down. So his killer took the time to turn him around, ease him onto the chair, instead of running for it. That sounds remorseful. Almost definitely. It was just a... If this was just a hit job, they would have left him dangling over the edge of the box. But they took precious time to arrange his body with dignity. Or as much dignity as they could have given the situation. So, someone who cared about him. Someone who didn't want to kill him, but felt they had no other choice. You look back at Lydia and Tristan, their conversation looks intense. Anything else? I'd say so. Pulls out a Polaroid from her pile. It's a photo of Sebastian's neck with a faint beige-brown silhouette of a snake. So it's a tattoo of sorts? Unless it's fresh. Or not a tattoo, but a... where they take the iron, they make it really hot, stamp it on you, yeah. It's a Drakovian royal crest. Why is it backwards? This was an indent under the left side of Sebastian's jaw. An indent like one of those signet rings half the Thorns wear, yeah. A ring that chunky would leave a mark, even through latex gloves, especially with the amount of pressure the killer would have had to use. So the killer wears a ring on their left hand. And they're strong, Chloe. Nearby, Tristan clears his throat. You recognize it as a signal. You look urgently at Ruby. Ruby, did Lydia see this mark? No, she hasn't looked through the Polaroids yet. What was she doing while you were examining the body? From the conversations I heard her having on the radio, I'd say she was doing everything she could to keep her people away from it. Ruby glances up the corridor behind you. Without moving her lips, she hisses. Time's up. You tuck the Polaroid down into your cleavage as Lydia and Tristan catch up to you. One more piece. But see, well, I mean, I guess they could have went out and bought a new garrote, right? I don't suppose either of you know where to find any coffee in this building. Ask the kitchen, Webster. I need you. Your breath catches as Lydia clicks her left hand at Ruby. A signet ring shines on her index finger. The ring. There's blood splatter dripping down from the balcony. We need to search this corridor for fibers, hair follicles, anything and everything. You got it. You watch as they begin a thorough sweep of the corridor. How many paths are there from the ballroom to the private box? That's none of your concern. 3, this being the most direct. Colette thought Sebastian was trying to lose her on purpose. He may have taken a less direct route to throw her off. Tristan, you have 5 seconds to get your friend away from me before I have her forcibly removed. You can't. She's outside of your crime scene, and he's the crown prince. She is very defensive about this. I'm just trying to help. 4 seconds. Alright, we'll wait for you downstairs. Chloe? You hesitate, unsure whether you should leave Lydia alone with Ruby or any potential evidence. Tristan takes your wrist, his voice softening. Chloe, please, it's time to tell Dad, Evelyn, and Vasily what's happened. Lydia stiffens at that, and you follow Tristan down the hall away from the crime scene. As you begin to search for the other members of the royal family, Tristan looks more shaken than you've ever seen him. Maybe you should head back to the palace. No one would blame you for sitting this one out. I'm not going anywhere. Tristan takes your hand and holding tight for comfort. I owe it to Bass to stand here and wait to hear what happened to him. It's the very least I can do. Well, we'll wait together then. Tristan, if it's okay if I... Tonight has changed your perspective. I'm sorry our investigation got in the way of you and Sebastian having the chance to repair things. I'm not convinced we would have ever had. If anything, I've seen him more lately than I would have ever bothered to otherwise. He didn't deserve my poor opinion. Not about Notch's murder, anyway. At least I hugged him once in our lives. Even if it was only a ruse to lift his damn ledger. I know this doesn't mean much right now, Tristan, but family isn't everything. We may not have been in each other's lives for that long, but you're already one of the most important pieces of it. Tristan throws you a grateful smile, his eyes a storm of grief and gratitude, and pauses in front of the door to the ballroom. You are my most important piece. In the ballroom, Colette and several of the guards stand with a cluster of lords, ladies, and politicians as they conduct intensive interviews. The royal family waits in the seated area of the other side of the ballroom, their expressions a spectrum of confusion, boredom, and annoyance. Tristan! Margaret pulls you aside, and you brace yourself for the tears, but she only looks confused. You said you'd update me if anything was going to happen. It's chaos. Did we catch him? She doesn't know. None of them know. Margaret, your mouth goes dry. You look to Tristan and see his face pale. He swallows thickly. But what happened? Did you lose him? It'd be best if we did. We at least helped Tristan. Margaret, I'm so sorry, but we were wrong about Sebastian. Margaret stiffens at your tone. She looks from you to Tristan, her face filling with dread. Tell me what happened. Colette lost eyes on him for just a few minutes, and in that time, Sebastian was attacked. He's dead, Margaret. Her eyes fill with tears. She takes a sudden gasping sob. Tristan steps forward, wrapping her in his arms. I avoided him all night. He kept trying to talk to me, and I brushed him off. I was disgusted with him for nothing. Seeing her daughter's tears, Evelyn approaches, her brow furrowed in concern. Tristan, Chloe, what's happened? Knowing what's coming, you keep your eyes on thorns as Tristan gently takes Evelyn's hands. Vasily stands behind his mother, his brow furrowed in confusion. Astrid is sprawled on a chaise and texting idly with one hand. Casper and Amika sit together, Casper's neck smudged with lipstick. Amika clearly a little drunk, and on the floor Patrick runs his forefinger around the rim of a crystal wine glass. There's no easy way to say this, but despite all the security measures taken by the guard, Nadja Zorik's killer was at the party tonight. Sebastian was attacked and killed. No! A wail fills the ballroom. It's a wordless expression of shock, pain, loss that makes you think of the Tristan story about the Drakovian nightingale. Behind her, the thorns take a moment longer to absorb the news. Amika seems neutral. Astrid seems happy. Why are you happy? Patrick seems shocked. Amika seems neutral. Vasily seems sad. Astrid lowers her phone, the diamond charm clattering against the wooden edge of the chaise. Shut up. Bass isn't interesting enough to get murdered. What would they even call his true crime podcast? Bored to death? Astrid, there's blood on the detective's hands. Astrid glances at you, but there's a mix of revulsion and shock. Wait, for real? Oh god, she's just a natural airhead. We know the killer cared enough about Sebastian to arrange him delicately. Astrid seems mostly grossed out, not to mention genuinely confused. Behind them, King Maxim sits in complete stillness, his gaze blank and broken. Queen Victoria throws a concerned look at her gray-faced husband and pulls you aside. Tell me everything, Detective Rose. We believe Sebastian and Nadja's murders were committed by the same person. The guard have taken control of this crime scene, so Lydea will have to update you on the finer details. The Queen gives you a stealing look. Perhaps I was wrong to order her to stay out of your way on the Zorik investigation. Your Majesty, trust me. The case needs someone impartial at the helm. I'm investigating your children. You can't put one of them on the case alongside me. And what do you call Tristan? Tristan is acting as a consultant on the case. Given Lydia's behavior tonight, I doubt she would be willing to operate in the same capacity. Find a way to work with Lydea and end this before Maxim and I. Hand the throne to Tristan, or I will have you shipped home. Is that clear? Yes, Your Majesty. Why is the deadline before Tristan takes the throne? The Queen steps away and sets a hand on King Maxim's elbow, guiding her husband out of the theater. Vasily, Margaret, Eveline follow, moving slowly. After a moment, Tristan's siblings file out as well. Tristan shakes his head bitterly. Most of them don't even drum up an ounce of empathy for my own brother. There's something seriously wrong with our family genes. I know she's stoic, but when Lydea saw Sebastian's body, it was like he was a stranger, but she tolerated him more than anyone else. You look across the ballroom to see Lydea arrive with Ruby in tow. We need to talk to her again. I'm afraid you can't, Detective. My captain does not want you involved. You startle as Colette's voice sounds off behind you. Her expression is stoic but almost haunted. If it helps, we haven't found anything significant. The whole scene was clean. Colette, Lydia's not gonna like that. Lydea doesn't have to know. She's your superior. And you've always followed her orders without question. My greatest allegiance has always been to the crown, and I fear my captain may be too close to this case. In that case, Colette, don't turn your back on Lydea. Not until we know who we're dealing with. Understood, Your Highness. Yeah, everyone still is a suspect. Drained by the night's events, you return with Tristan to the palace, planning on returning to your investigation in the morning. It feels like your head barely hits the pillow before your room is flooded with morning light. You feel a weight on the side of your bed. I don't know how you do it, but you look exquisite even when you're drooling. You roll over and peer at Tristan through bleary eyes. He's fully dressed, looking sharp despite the faint shadows beneath his eyes. Tristan, come back to bed. Don't tempt me. I've got my shoes on and everything. You open the blankets, letting Tristan catch a glimpse of your barely clad body and patting the sheet beside you. But it's so warm and naked in here. Well, when you put it like that... Tristan slips off his shoes and slides into the bed beside you. He lets his cheek rest on your chest and his hand on your stomach. His lips brush your skin as he speaks. I wish I could stay here. Why can't you? Crown Prince, murdered brother, tense mother, days of mourning to be organized. What word best encapsulates the feeling of lying awake, replaying the details of every interaction you've ever had with your siblings? Bad? In that case, I slept bad. Is the palace crazy this morning? The opposite. The staff have been asked to stay home. The guard and mother's personal assistants are the only ones allowed through the gates. Is that security protocol or a mark of respect? Both. Lydia's idea. We need to stay on top of her. We will, but get dressed is something we need to do first. You and Tristan meet Ruby and Luke and Margaret in the empty throne room. The palace is quiet, almost ghostly. As if sensing his need for comfort, Alice settles at Tristan's side, resting her head on his knee. Did you find anything at the Opera House? You mean before Lydea kicked Mags and I out of the security room? No. The Opera House feeds are riddled with blind spots. Between the low lighting and resolution, we couldn't pick anyone out in the crowd. What about the private box and the corridors leading to it? There wasn't any cameras in the theater or the corridors around it. They only covered the foyer, ballroom, and parts of the garden. Convenient. Who amongst the siblings would have known that? Lydea knew. She mentioned it when we were examining the corridors. Astrid, Vasily would too. They both spend a lot of time at the Opera House. Astrid likes opera. She likes opera singers, something about the lung capacity. Oh boy. Margaret shakes her head, her eyes are red and puffy, her voice hoarse with stress. It was bad enough thinking about which of us could have killed Nadja. But Bass, one of our own. Why would any of our siblings do it? What would they have to gain? I think it was... I mean, him knowing who the killer is? No. To squash the act of terror. Juliana, Nadja, and now Sebastian. That's a pattern if I ever saw one. But Makarov was the swing vote, and he was against the act. It wouldn't have passed anyway. Or maybe Bass was about to swing him. We have no way of knowing. Nadja's death was meant to be a warning to Sebastian to let the legislation die. And of course he didn't listen. Bass never changed his mind about anything once it was made up. Until now, that is. We've been fighting for 8 whole years. Why did he have to wait until tonight to want to be my brother again? Are we gonna tell her about the letters we found in the trash can? You remember something you neglected to tell Margaret in the lead up to the fashion show, something important. Margaret, Sebastian didn't just decide to make up with you tonight. He spent the last 8 years wanting to reach out and fix things. That's kind, Chloe, but you don't have to invent fantasies for me. No, it's true. When we searched Bass's office in the legislative building, we found letters he tried to write to you. They go back years. Her eyes fill with fresh tears. That idiot. We could have been friends this entire time if we had. Maybe he wouldn't have been alone tonight, and he wouldn't be... Yeah, and you might be dead too. You exchange a helpless look with Ruby and Luke. Is there anything we can do for you? Not unless you can turn back time and give me a chance to say goodbye. Tristan straightens, the sudden movement startling Alice. That and last night she gave props to Tristan versus that Bass in front of the whole world. That's gonna be a kick in the groin. Kovmorti. I'm sorry, what now? The Kovmorti, could we? What are we talking about now? An old Drakovian ritual. It was a way to grieve, to celebrate a loved one's spirit and help their soul move on to the next world. Typically it's reserved for legitimate heirs to the throne, but Bass always said it's how he'd want to be celebrated. It was going to be part of his platform when he ran for office. Then we'll make it happen for him. The 5 of us. Sorry, 6 of us. But Sebastian didn't even like us. He grudgingly respected you, which is more meaningful. He would have appreciated for all of us doing this for him. Bass was a prince, whether he was recognized as a heir or not. It's important to me we see him off as we would any other child of Drakovia. How does one send off a prince of Drakovia? It involves a candle, ceremonial daggers, a proving ground where we duel for the honor of sending the soul to the afterlife. I'm sorry, a duel? We have to fight each other? With blunted daggers, yes. I would never hurt you, but I would love to see what you're made of. Really, Tristan? It would mean so much to Margaret, Chloe, and I. And to me. To have you there with me. Support Pat, Tristan. Margaret leads the way to a part of the palace gardens you've never seen before. A sprawling graveyard shielded from view of the palace by ancient, twisted trees. Alice drops to a roll happily in the grass between the headstones. Well, this is haunting. How old is this place? The oldest readable headstones date back to the early 1500s, but best guess is it was established in the 1200s. That's a lot of dead royals. Not as many as you think. Only reigning monarchs are allowed to be buried here. We have an overflowing graveyard for all the spares. So, you'll go in here one day? I suppose I will. At least you'll get a front row seat to whatever this is. It points to what looks like the Kovmorti arena. She solemnly walks to the center of the arena and sets down a white candle. When the candle is lit, Kovmorti will begin. In the old stories, the flame means the past is here, watching our tribute will fight each other in one-on-one combat until a single champion remains. The champion will have the distinction of blowing out the candle, sending Bass on to the next world with a great honor. Almost like what Klingons do. What if the wind blows it out before we're done? Then we'll have bored Bass into the underworld, which would be just like him. Marjorie's hand shakes as she strikes a match and sets it to the wick. It burns a long moment before the wick catches with a bright spark. He's here, Chloe. I challenge you first to duel. You stand and face Marjorie. The candle flickers between you, the flame dancing despite the stillness of the air. It'd be my pleasure. Tristan hands each of you a ceremonial dagger with a blunted edge. First to land a theoretical fatal blow wins the match. Give me everything you've got, Chloe. On your call, Tristan. Fight. Oh, won't this be fun? No, sarcasm. You and Margaret circle each other, your daggers at the ready. We need some Star Trek music for this. Back in, Captain Kirk TOS days. Margaret darts at your dagger, seeking your chest. You dodge, parrying the knife and slashing at her neck. Margaret spins out of the reach of your blade. The candle flickers as you parry and slash, both of you too quick to land to hit on each other. Finally, as sweat begins to prick at your temples, you see Margaret tire enough to leave an opening. Kick her to the ground. You put her in a headlock. Go straight for the heart. With a hesitation, you press the tip of your knife to her chest. Oh. Gotcha. So you have, I concede. You exchange a bittersweet smile over the candle's flame. Sebastian is still with you. Luke, let's go next. Sure. You hand Luke your dagger as Ruby takes her place before the candle. Luke stands opposite her and mimes stabbing himself in the stomach. I forfeit. Luke, no fair! Sorry, Ruby, but the thought of ever pretending to go at my girlfriend with a dagger makes me feel weird. Okay, fine. Way to be healthy. Wholesome boyfriend. Having a little sparring match with your girlfriend or whoever isn't too bad. It's kind of actually fun. The candle flame jumps as Luke steps past it, but doesn't go out. Ruby looks hopeful to Tristan. You'll fight me, won't you? With gusto, dear friend. Oh, yeah, no. Tristan's gonna beat her ass. Tristan takes a dagger from Luke, then Ruby, and has Ruby on the ground in less than 5 seconds. Arm pinned behind her back and the blade to the back of her skull. How was that? Awesome. I concede. That leaves Chloe and Tristan. Whoever wins will be Sebastian's champion. Tristan chuckles dryly and looks at the candle. The candle gutters. How do you feel about that, little brother? I think he grudgingly approved. Are you ready? You meet Tristan's eyes as you step further into the arena and ready the dagger. Tristan, I learned from the best. I've been waiting to put these skills to use ever since you taught me. Likewise, we'll see how diligently you've been practicing. Tristan makes his move, gracefully lunging and then spinning out of the way to land a slash on your thigh as you attempt to parry. Ha! One hit for me. One very survivable flesh wound, you mean? The others watch on, barely breathing, as you and Tristan feint, dodge, parry, and strike each other. If this was a real battle, you'd both be soaked in blood. Ready to give up? You already know the answer to... Tristan grins, his blade flashing to the candlelight as he takes advantage of your momentary distraction. Dodge. You throw yourself aside, dodging his blade, and the sly kick that would have sunk you to the ground, putting you behind him. Huh? You seize the opportunity, pressing your foot to the back of his knee. He goes down to his knees. A dastardly move. You slide your knife beneath his chin, the tip poised to thrust upward and smile against his cheek. But an effective one. Do you concede? All hail the champion. Margaret takes up the candle, offering it to you. It's time, Chloe. As Sebastian's champion, you descend him home. A candle for Bass. You look into her shining eyes, and Tristan, and you might be Sebastian's champion, but they're his family. I'll let Margaret blow it out. You shake your head, gently move the candle back to Margaret. I know it's not the tradition, what it's called for, but Sebastian deserves to be sent on by someone who loves him. A tear catches in her lashes and drops into the welting Max. She nods, grateful, and looks into the flame. Past, I wish we'd had more time together, and that we hadn't wasted so much of what was given to us. But whatever went wrong between us, know that I never stopped loving you. And I never will. She blows gently at the flame, it flickers and goes out, sending smoke curling high into the quiet trees. She lets out a soft sigh and turns to Tristan. He wraps her in his arms, and together they watch the smoke dissipate into the overcast sky. Ruby and Luke quietly join you as you watch the siblings process their emotions together. You think any of that ritual, spirit stuff is real? I don't know, but it sure seems to have helped them, and that's all that matters. Then it was worth it. Together the three of you head back the way you came, leaving Tristan and Margaret to reflect on their memories of Baz. When Tristan and Margaret reappear, their faces are grim. Why do you look like it got worse? Because it has. Mother's ordered all the Thorn to the legislative building for our public statement about Sebastian. I can't say I'm ready, but Lydea will be there. We can continue our search for answers. But we'll be separated, as we'll be forced to sit with the rest of our family, Chloe. Watch your back. And I'll be watching Lydea. Wherever she goes, after the announcement, we'll follow. An hour later, you arrive at the legislative building and take your seats with Ruby and Luke in the public gallery. The surviving Thorn children sit in the royal box in order of succession. Tristan on the far right, Margaret on the far left. She clutches a bundle of letters in her hands. Margaret must have gotten to Sebastian's desk before the royal guard did. I hope his letters give her some peace. I don't see Eveline anywhere. She must have stayed at the palace. Is Lydea our main suspect, or is there another Thorn you want to keep an eye on during all this? He nods to Lydea, who sits on Tristan's right side. Her posture's perfect, hands are clasped loosely in her lap. Seriously, your favorite brother gets murdered, and you don't crack a single facial expression? I get being private and professional, but this... psychopathic. It sure isn't healthy. I disagree with that. Everybody handles grief in their own way. Perhaps she feels heartbroken or guilty. This one's tough, because I am like Lydea. Every funeral I've ever been to, I have stood there stoic, like a gargoyle. Because I had to be the support beam for everyone. Even if it meant losing the most dearest person in my life. I had to be the support beam for everybody, so there are some of us who are like that. It doesn't mean we don't have emotion, it's just we can't afford to show it. We compartmentalize everything, so I don't know. I'm gonna go with heartbroken. Lydea was one of the few Thorns Sebastian had a good relationship with. Even if she's trying to keep things professional now, she must feel something for his death. The chamber's quiet as Queen Victoria stands. She raises somber eyes to her people, allowing the assembled journalists time to center her with her cameras. People of Drakovia, I have news of a kind I had hoped never to deliver in my reign. Last night, Prince Sebastian Ambrosius Thorn was killed. The motive and manner of his death is subject to an investigation. I assure you that the punishment will be swift and righteous. Lydea doesn't move as her mother's words stun the room. You could mistake her for a statue if it weren't for her eyes. They flick to the left, as though she's looking at one of her siblings. Who's she looking at? I can't tell from this angle. Well, she's looking to her left. She's definitely watching someone. Well, see, that's the problem. We don't know how everyone's seated. We know Tristan's on the far one side, and she's not looking that way. Oh, this one's tough. The twins, Vasily. This one's tough. I'm not gonna lie. It's like, you know, the clue. You know, who did what with what. The twins are so weird. Vasily doesn't... I don't have a read on him. And Astrid... I doubt it's Astrid, I'm gonna be honest with you. You look at Vasily, he sits between Margaret and Casper, turning something you can't see over in his hands. Vasily takes a deep breath as the Queen's words are met with astonishment and outrage. He reaches for Margaret's hand, she takes it, holding tight. Vasily looks like he's in a lot of pain. He and Sebastian were the closest of all the Thorn siblings, right? That's what everyone says. I wonder... This is not... I'm not gonna lie, tight choices for this book are a little difficult for me. I'm gonna go with he might know more than he's letting on. Agreed, he's a smart guy, but he was close to Sebastian and Lydea. He likely has his own theories. You think Vasily knows who killed him? Suspects, at the very least. He knows the siblings better than us, and better than Tristan after 8 years away from them. We should talk to him. Why do you think Lydia's watching? Because she... Why am I making assumptions here? I don't like doing this. I don't like doing it. It's a huge pet peeve for me. I usually keep my mouth shut until I know all the facts. Because she suspects them? Could Lydea be genuinely investigating Sebastian's murder? If she's not the killer, it stands to reason she'd want to find them. That's a real big if. Prince Sebastian will not be forgotten, nor will his devotion to Drakovia. He demonstrated love for our nation, should be an inspiration to us all. I will let his brother, Prince Vasily, conclude the session with a few words of remembrance. Vasily wipes his eyes and stands, glancing down at what you see as a small stack of note cards in his hands. Thank you, Your Majesty. My brother wanted nothing more than to serve Drakovia. He was a champion of our history and our culture. My little brother's most passionate cause was the act of hair equity. It was a dream he devoted his life to realizing. It is not the Drakovian way to postpone important matters for personal tragedy. The vote on hair equity will go ahead this week, as planned. But I ask that you consider using your votes to honor my brother, to cement his legacy by passing his greatest dream into law. So he wants it to go through. Okay. The room breaks into tearful applause. Even Representative Makarov nods solemnly, standing to mark the passing of his political rival. Wow, that's... classy way to elevate yourself? No. It is going to attract the killer's attention, though, because they've been trying to prevent this from passing. Yes, it is a perfect way to honor Sebastian, but it's going to attract the killer's attention. The last few people to push this legislation are dead, with only a few days left before they vote. The killer's going to get desperate. Maybe Vasily's trying to lure them out. Movement in the royal box catches your eyes. Lydea slips out of her seat, disappearing into the corridor without hesitation. Tristan goes after her. Damn, you two stay here. If you don't hear from me in 5, raise hell. You move quickly through the corridors, trying to gauge where Tristan and Lydea might have gone. Shoes squeak in the corridor ahead. You pull your taser from its holster and hold it at the ready as you turn the corner. Don't shoot or spark. Where's Lydea? I lost her. She's too damn fast. This is why you should always wear shoes you can run in, brother. Aim your taser at Lydea as she steps out of the same corner you just rounded. Lydea, are you ready to cooperate? Stop posturing. I need to speak with you both alone. There were so many easier ways to achieve that. Easier, yes, but less effective. Lydea steps closer to you, unbothered by your taser. She lowers her voice. I'm sorry for removing you from the scene last night, but it was obvious you suspected me. And you ask way too many questions to let me think. So you weren't trying to get the act of hair equality or equity squashed? If you'd even bothered to ask me about it, Tristan, you'd know I support the act. Since when? Since always. You think I enjoyed being heir to the throne while you were living it up in the States? Of course not. You don't enjoy anything. I enjoy being captain of the Royal Guard, jackass, and I enjoyed spending time with Sebastian. I didn't kill him. But I have a lead on who did. An envelope. This is what I discovered in Sebastian's apartment that night. He believed one of our mother's children is a love child. Oh, we're back to that again. And it's true. Sebastian found evidence. Did he discover who? All he confirmed was that whoever the child is, she's a female. Tristan lets out a heavy breath. So, it isn't me. No, you self-obsessed ass. It's either me or Astrid. And if it's Astrid, then she could be our murderer. I hate this. I hate this. I really do. So, the reason I say this is, well, first, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy the content. Other than that, here's my thoughts on it. The reason why I hate this is, this isn't the first book that Choices has done this. And I don't mean I hate the story or the book or anything else like that. I don't know, there's a lot along the way which were very unprofessional, things we didn't do, things, you know, we could have handled better in the whole 9 yards. It's very sloppy. It is really sloppy. It leaves you wanting to know more in the whole 9 yards, and we passed up a lot of opportunities, and then we didn't, you know, see his other ones, and yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. I feel like we're a really bad detective. Right? I don't know. Astrid could have a really good poker face for what little we've interacted with her. We haven't interacted with her much. But why are we so quick to write off Amika, though? I know they're twins, but why are we so quick to write that off? I'm asking a question. Like, I don't know if you guys know something. So again, let me know in the comment section what you guys believe. We're quick to write off Amika, and then we also don't know if there's a love child outside of the whole situation. And then like, one of the things we haven't kept an eye on, but I kind of have, is the queen. Right? It's just, remember, it's a love child. You would want your child to succeed or not, right? So I'm just, I don't know, I'm really lost for words. So again, let me know. Maybe I just haven't had enough coffee yet. So without further ado, thank you for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Catch you all later. Peace out.